Look, I just booted up a 2010 ThinkPad, and honestly, it is outperforming my 2023 Ultrabook in thermal management. Here is the cold, technical reason why your shiny new gear is actually, well, designed to fail. We've been sold this brilliant lie that thinner is always better, all whilst completely ignoring the actual laws of thermodynamics, right? Today, I'm peeling back the layers on how the engineering soul of 2010 has been replaced by calculated fragility. See, this isn't just about old tech being built different. It's about a deliberate shift in silicon architecture, a shift that prioritizes aesthetics over actual longevity. Think about the device you are using right now, mate. It is likely a masterpiece of machined aluminum and glass, barely thicker than a magazine. But there is a bloody massive problem hiding under that sleek exterior. In 2010, if I bought a high-end laptop, I was buying a thermal envelope that could actually handle the silicon inside it. The fans were thick. The heat pipes were chunky copper. There was a concept called airflow that manufacturers actually, respected. No nonsense. Today, we have entered the era of thermal throttling as a feature, not a bug. As we have shrunk transistors down to the 3 nanometer range, the heat density has skyrocketed. Pointed, we are packing more power into smaller areas than ever before. But we are trying to cool them with a chassis that has the internal volume of a credit card. It is quite literally a physical impossibility. I want you to look at the internal layout of a modern Ultrabook versus that 2010 ThinkPad. The old machine has clear channels for air to move. The modern machine, it is a cramped puzzle of batteries and logic boards, with almost zero room for heat to escape. Sarcastic. Manufacturers have basically decided that you would rather have a laptop that looks brilliant in a coffee shop than one that can maintain its peak clock speed for more than, 10 minutes? This is the thermal betrayal. When your laptop gets too hot, the software steps in and slows your processor down to a crawl just to keep it from melting. You paid for a high-performance chip, but you only get to use that performance in short, pathetic bursts. Cynical. Whilst the marketing tells you it is the most powerful chip ever made, the reality is that the chassis is acting as a chokehold. It is a calculated shift, you see. By prioritizing this razor-thin aesthetic, companies have created a cycle of forced obsolescence. Heat is the primary killer of electronics, period. By wanting these modern machines at their absolute thermal limit from day one, they are ensuring the components degrade faster. They've traded the robust, repairable soul of 2010 engineering for a disposable, beautiful brick. A brick that is designed to be replaced the moment the next millimeter is shaved off the design. Look, it is not progress. It is a regression disguised as innovation. Look, this regression, it isn't just about physical decay. It's about a fundamental lie we've all accepted regarding power. See, back in 2010, the promise was simple, thoughtful. Moore's Law was our golden ticket, right? We were told that as transistors shrunk and performance doubled, we would eventually reach a point of peak utility. You bought a laptop, and it was a 10-year investment, because the hardware was finally catching up to what we actually needed. We expected modularity. We expected efficiency. But what we actually got was a bait-and-switch.
I want you to think about how software used to work. In 2010, developers were forced to be clever. They wrote code that ran directly on the metal, quite literally squeezing every ounce of power out of dual-core chips. Today, well, we've transitioned into this hidden model of hardware as a service. Your device isn't just a tool anymore. It's a portal for data collection. Think of your modern 12-core processor like a high-performance engine. In 2010, that engine was focused entirely on driving the car. Today, the engine is 10 times more powerful, but it's also being forced to power a massive, invisible trailer. I mean, we're talking telemetry pings, background indexing, and just unoptimized bloatware. It is quite literally a tragedy of digital overhead.
When I compare the two eras, the technical reality is, well, it's daunting. Your modern smartphone is often working harder just to keep its own background processes alive than a 2010 computer did to render a high-definition video. We haven't actually gained more free time or faster workflows. We've just filled that extra headroom with digital noise. We've traded the lean, mean efficiency of the past for a bloody massive amount of system bloat. Bloat that serves the manufacturer much more than it serves you. We were promised a future where technology would get out of our way. Instead, it's become a parasitic relationship where the hardware has to fight its own software just to stay functional. But look, as bad as the software side is, there's a much more physical reason why your old gear is still kicking, whilst your new kit feels like it's on life support. And it starts with a component you've probably never even thought to check. If you cracked open a laptop from 2010, you were greeted by standard Phillips head screws. Well, it was an invitation. It said, I am a tool, and you are its master. Today, that invitation has been rescinded. Modern engineering has shifted from selling you a tool to selling you a countdown timer. And it starts with the architecture of decay. Look, manufacturers have swapped out those screws for proprietary adhesives. Now, whilst they tell you this is purely for thinness or water resistance, the reality is far more cynical. Glue is a wall. It is a physical barrier designed to ensure that if you try to fix it, you will likely break it. By removing the ability to simply unbolt a battery or a keyboard, companies have effectively abolished the secondary market. They have turned what should be a 10-year device into a 3-year rental. But here's the crazy part. The physical barriers are only half the story. There was a much more insidious layer at play here. It's called part pairing, or serialization. Think of it as a digital fingerprinted lock. Imagine you have two identical flagship smartphones. You take a perfectly functional screen from one and you put it on the other. In 2010, that was a brilliant way to save a device. Today, it fails. Even though the parts are genuine, the phone knows. If the serial numbers do not match what is hard-coded in the BIOS, the software will intentionally cripple the device, disabling features like biometric security or display calibration.
Look, I think we need to call this what it actually is, a convenience tax. You are paying for that sleek, unibody aesthetic, but the hidden cost is the absolute loss of ownership. You are paying a premium for a device that is designed to become a paperweight the moment the next model is announced. It is a bloody, massive, engineered death sentence for your bank account and the environment alike. We have been conditioned to accept this as progress, but the reality is daunting. We are trading our right to repair for the illusion of sophistication. And yet, even with all these physical and digital locks in place, there is one final way the industry ensures your tech feels obsolete long before the hardware actually fails. Warning. It is a tactic that is almost impossible to see until it is too late. It's the cult of minimalism. We've been sold a vision of the future that is thin, seamless, and quite literally hollow. Just look at your desk right now. Cynical. You've probably got a smartphone that's, well, essentially just a sandwich of glass and glue. Or maybe a laptop so thin it actually requires an expensive dongle just to plug in a monitor. I mean, we've traded the soul of engineering for a sleek aesthetic. And frankly, I don't think the trade-off was worth it. Think about this. Back in 2010, a gadget was a tool you owned. Today, it's increasingly becoming a subscription you haven't even realized you're paying for yet. When a company glues a lithium-ion battery deep inside a chassis,
They aren't just making it thinner. They're setting a countdown timer on the entire device. Look, it's basic chemistry. Lithium degrades. By making that battery non-removable, they've turned a $50 maintenance task into a $1,200 replacement. It's brilliant for the quarterly earnings report, but it's a bloody disaster for your wallet and the planet. We've been conditioned to believe that progress is this straight line towards thinner, lighter, and more enclosed. But that's a lie. True progress is efficiency and longevity. We have to stop chasing the thinnest frame possible and start demanding the return of the user-replaceable battery. It's the most basic form of consumer agency, right? Our future shouldn't be defined by how fast we can throw things away, whilst these tech giants tell us they're being green by removing the charger from the box. That's a bit rich, isn't it? If we want to break this cycle, we have to change what we value. We need to stop buying the shiny and start buying the sustainable. I'm asking you to look at your current setup. Is it a collection of tools that will serve you for a decade? Or is it a fleet of expiring assets? Seriously, let me know in the comments if your old gear is still outlasting your new toys. I want to know which legends from the 2010 era are still in your daily rotation. The dystopia of the disposable won't just be a trend. It will be the only option we have left. Demand better, mate. The tech world won't change until we do.
Look at the people you spend the most money with and ask yourself, do they value your presence or just your participation in their spending habits? If they are offended by your financial boundaries, or if they try to guilt trip you for being cheap when you're actually being responsible, well, thank them. Seriously, thank them for showing you exactly where they belong. In your past. You are building a legacy, right? Not a highlight reel for people who are just as broke as they are loud. If you're finally ready to choose your actual net worth over a fake aesthetic, hit that subscribe button. Let's stop falling for the social scam and start building real wealth.